stressful, but you were used to like doing nothing on your days at home, which I get. Like that's the temptation, especially when we were on like weird hybrid or remote schedules. Like I was finding myself not wanting to get stuff done because it's weird when your schedule's all messed up. But you got to hold yourself accountable to get that stuff done. Stuff with a due date of today should not be put off until it's marked in MAP as late. Right? That's a really bad habit. Then you're working behind the late work. And like we just talked about, if you want the stuff to be fresh, you should do it as soon as you can. I'm trying not to waste paper, so I'm trying to find my copy of the notes from yesterday. Do you remember what relationship verticals have? Go back and check those notes. What you should have written in yesterday's notes for vertical angles. Oh, where'd my back paper go? I must have given it away. Sorry, I gave my notes away to somebody. Guys, if you come in and you're like, hey, I missed class or whatever, like, I'll give you my notes. Vertical angles are equal. Vertical angles are equal. So sorry, I will get my dot camera loaded up now. So what you should have had, I believe this was from yesterday's class. So we're not starting with vertical. Up here, this first section, what type of angles were these? Complementary, because how do we remember the relationship with complementary angles? Yeah, it's the right thing to do. If you want to get a job, guys, I was actually just talking to a friend of mine who's applying for Perry, right? Like the school that's going to be right here. And I told him, you literally, if you get the job, you might teach in this classroom, right? If he ends up working at Perry. But when you go to try to get jobs, you want to be a nice person. So to compliment someone's the right thing to do. They sum to 90. So our x here is 61, x here is 37, and x here is 14. Any questions from those that we did yesterday? For the science position? Funny enough, none of the ones that you saw. That's how strict we interview people. Like we still couldn't decide, so we interviewed more, and then we chose somebody. So actually the person that we chose came to Phoenix way back when. They are old enough that they went to Phoenix back like near when it started. They went through Worthington High School, they went to Ohio State, and now they're out. Well, they're almost out. So you won't have her as a teacher, but her name is Miss Howard, like Hower. So a straight angle, if you didn't get this filled in yesterday, we call those supplementary because you take supplements to get bigger. And then I don't have these filled in, so I don't think we did them. So that's a perfect opportunity to grab some random cards. Yeah, I think it was right at the end of class when I was like passing out wipes. Well, Nate, do you want to volunteer for one? No? Well, Sydney, you are the next card that's up. Can you tell me what I'm going to do to solve for x? You don't need to be able to tell me what it is, but... Yeah, remember, these are all subtractions. Now, when the other angle's over 100, guys, the 100s are going to, like, cancel out with each other, so I can really do 80 minus 6. What is that? 74. So this angle here would be 74 degrees. Down here, 180 minus 48. Well, guys, I could still do 80 minus 48 and then just put the 100 back on. Or, if you remember back to elementary, oh yeah, we can just stack subtraction. We could just do this. Or grab your calculator. What do you get? 132 degrees. Make sure you label the degrees on. I know the X has degrees, but let's get in the habit of labeling angles with degrees. And everybody shout it out. What do we get for our final X over here? 52 degrees. You guys aren't very excited this morning. Do we need to do like some jumping jacks? Who fell asleep on the couch last night? Who was tired after school last night? Yeah. Who's
I went to bed less than an hour after I got home.
Yeah. Who's already ready for this weekend? Who kind of thought today was Wednesday? Yeah, okay. So we're all going crazy together. Good. At least if we're all going crazy together.
Because I had to watch my brother after I got back to school, and then immediately after my mom got back,
Yep, I'm right with you. So Nate, I hate to burst your and my bubble, but it doesn't look like the weather's going to work out, so we're going to pause and hold off on the cookout most likely until we have a decent day. So we're not asking you guys to sit down on wet grass and stuff out there. So because it costs money, right? To buy the food and everything, so we want to have a good experience, like a fun cookout. Vertical angles are equal to each other. So vertical angles are actually the easiest to solve. If this is 139, this is 139. Guys, I realized after our class, I forgot to show you a visual that really, really helps. So if I attach two straight lines at a vertex, right? A vertex is where things cross. Whatever I do on one side happens on the other side because there's this pivot point, and for the lines to stay straight, it's the only option. There's no magic going on here. And if you think about the railroad crossing signs or whatever, but if I have things attached, if somebody mounting those railroad crossing signs mounted the one piece at a weird angle, the whole thing, it's straight all the way across. It's not like it can pivot in the middle. I would then break my yardstick, right? If I try to straight lines, whatever I do to one angle happens to the other one. So that's why vertical angles are what they are. And vertical, one on top, one on bottom. Right, so if I turn my image, vertical angles are always one on top, one on bottom. Remember, vertical lines go straight up and down. So for our vertical angles down here, all we do is copy the degree measure that we have. So if this is 37, this is 37. If this is 94, this is 94. Now wait a minute, don't flip your paper yet. What? But now I'm going to ask you to do something I didn't ask you to do yet. I don't need your sass. Go find these angles. Because if you find one of them, you know the other one, right? And since we have straight lines crossing each other, what relationship do I have here between my purple angle and my red angle? They're supplementary. So when we see vertical angles, we can also see supplementary angles. Use a calculator if you need to. I am going to random card these because it helps me know if people are paying attention and doing these problems on their own. When we do the subtraction in our first one over here, Isaiah, what'd you get? With 139, we would also have... Yeah, 41, right? I couldn't quite hear you, but I think that's what I heard. Because 139 and 41 together would make your 180. Come back to me, focus. There we go. 180 minus 37. Guys, be careful with borrowing. A lot of times when I get wrong answers on these, I'm off by 10 because I forget to borrow out. So, Natalie, when you do 180 minus 37, what do we get here? 143. Because the 3 takes us up to 40, and then we still need another 140. So, absolutely. And then this one over here would also be 143. And Martin, my last one here with 94. How big would this one be? 86. Because we know if one is over 90, the other one has to be under 90. Right? Because if they were both 90, then they would be 180. Right? So if one gets bigger than 90, the other one gets less than 90 by that much. Awesome. Good work, guys. flipping to the back. I'm holding out hope that the office is going to email me and be like, Micah, your copies are here. Guys, sound effects help everything. Well, your bad attitude sure doesn't help anything. When we don't have the visual, I didn't leave any extra copies out here. There must be in my notebook. When we don't have the visual, we straight up just have to do the math. So if you haven't done this yet, take a moment to just do the math to solve for these unknown angles in the pair. And guys, actually, when we finish this worksheet, I'm just going to give you time to work on your con because some of you really need to get caught up. By the way, those of you that are blue, or were blue now that we're all cyan, if you are struggling on the rotation homeworks, there is a video on my YouTube of a class you didn't have because Blue Group kind of missed out on a class day there in that last week. So, you can email me too and I can send it to you. But if you are struggling, please do something about it, like come to AO or extensions. By the way, at AO, I'm free at 11:30. I have a class in here till then, but at AO, I'm free at 11:30. I should see calculators being used and pencils moving. So if I walk around the room and you're sitting there doing nothing, you're totally done with your entire notes. Yeah, the whole... So these, I'm just looking for my extra copy. These, what I just said, to repeat myself, is we just straight up do the math. There's no visual to go with. We just straight up do the subtraction. This is a real thing. I need to find my X. Aha! If it was a snake, it would have bit me, guys. If it was a snake, it would have bit me. Here's my clean paper. All right, we are doing random cards. So if you have been sitting there like a bump on a log, you can remind yourself that complementary pairs sum to. Supplementary pairs sum to. And if you've already done those, move on to that bottom section. That's going to be a bit more challenging for you. Yeah, be careful. If you mixed them up, go back and fix them. I will warn my next volunteers that they have volunteered. Skylar, Isis, Stella, and Victor, Jocelyn, Madeline. So thank you guys for volunteering. Yeah, you did. You came to class today. Everything's a choice, guys. Yeah, it really was. You guys should let go of that middle school, what, I don't even want to call it a middle school mentality, but you should be proud that you made the choice to get up and come to school and come do this. And no one actually controls you. Your parents think they do and you think they do, but no one actually controls you. Did you say you're regretting your choice? What's up? Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and knock these out. Skylar, if we have a 68-degree angle and we have a complement to it, that means the complement would be 22 degrees. I kind of put the degree symbols on here, but they're not quite high enough up for how I write. Isis, 13 degrees, its complement would be 77 degrees would make 90, absolutely. And a 45 degrees, Stella, with that, complement would be 45. And guys, notice you could name your angles with numbers, like we talked about yesterday. You could name an angle 1 and an angle 2, depending on the like visual they give you. For supplements, Victor, if an angle is 54, what would be its supplement? Hey guys, I get that you're like doing what I've said is cool, but now that we're talking together, go back to your desk. Join us for our group conversation. Verify your answers as we talk as a class. I don't mind that you're working together, but what you're doing talking over people, that's rude. Okay? So, with 54, Victor, sorry, now that I can hear you, what's its supplement? 126. Because, guys, what we also need is those of you who have already done this, check it. Like, check us. Like, I even make math mistakes, and I've been doing this for 20 years. Probably a little bit more. But, yeah.
I was 10 off. I got 136.
Well, so, yeah, what we got to double check then is, are you 10 off or are we 10 off? So, the 6... Hold on. So, the 6 takes us to what? When you add 6 with 54, 60. Then the 20 takes us to 80. Oh, yeah, this is good, because then the 100 takes us to 180. Yeah, Victor's good. Yep. So if you got 136 or 116, like you're off by 10. You borrowed wrong. So, guys, if you need help building this, Jocelyn, I know the next one was coming to you, but to think through these, one really good strategy is throw on the ones digit first. What does that 9 take us up to? 140. So, Jocelyn, what do we still need? What is this angle? 49, right? Because if we're at 140 now, we still need 40 more. Right? So, if you just build it a piece at a time. And then, Madeline, if you have one angle that's 90, the other is also 90. They're going to be a perfect perpendicular. Let's say 5. Yeah, okay. For a second, I got nervous. Take 5 is the best candy bar on the market. Okay, well, because we're about to do statistics, I guess best candy bar will be a survey that we should do together. So, in these images, each and every one of them, you actually know enough information to solve probably every single angle in the picture. So not just, oh no, loud noise. Not just the angle marked X or whatever. I want you to try to solve every single angle in the picture. Right? Don't just take the challenge they give you. Let's make it even more. So I'm going to do the first one. If you don't know what I mean, I'm going to do the first one. Now, even though these two first pictures look the same, they're not. I wanted to do this to make sure you guys realize even when I see something on Khan that looks exactly like what I've seen before, these are not the same. The angles are different. Yeah, it's the same picture, but it's labeled differently. Remember that these little squares in the corner tell us 90 degrees. Remember that vertical angles are formed anytime we see straight lines crossing. So guys, if you find it hard to visualize, give each straight line a color. If you find it hard to visualize, give each straight line its own color. That really helps you see those vertical angles. And now is when it's 100% appropriate to chat with a friend. Remember, we're still trying to keep 3 feet So if you're able to stay in your desk. So I can see that this angle I just found down here uses my blue and green. Oh, look, another blue and green. Ha!
Right now I feel like really jittery and anxious.
You're good. Absolutely. Yeah, you're good. Did she not give you those Post-its yet?
Not yet.
Here.
Yeah.
Here's a few.
Okay.
You don't need to put one on your desk right now, but there's those just so you have them. Yeah, you're welcome. Still got probably about half our time left. So if you're sitting there doing nothing, I'm assuming you're done with your notes, and I'm about to walk around the room, like after I drink water, so please don't break my heart. Like, I don't care if you're struggling, but I care if you're lying to me. And I do care if you're struggling, but that's good. Struggle is good. Guys, struggle is how we learn. If it's 90, you can mark it with one of the little squares, but you don't necessarily have to write 90 degrees. You can mark it with one of the little squares. Yeah, I love the calculator use that I see, because it's like, come on, we live in a tech world. What is this thing? Interesting. So in our first image there, it's all 17 or 73 or 90. Because we really have three sets of verticals. Right? We really have three sets of verticals. So the next image is almost the same, except it changes our angle measures. Can I get a volunteer maybe for the next one? I don't have to do everything by random cards. Nate, you going to tell me what three angle measures we have over in the next one? There's 30 degrees. What's with the 30 degrees? Like, what's right here? Yeah, 60, because 60 plus 30 makes the 90. And we know that this is 90. Guys, that's how we know that this has to be 90. Because this is 90, and together it's all 180. Right, so then, same thing as the image over here, my 60 degrees transfers across. This is 60 degrees. My 30 degrees transfers across because it's vertical. And this is 30 degrees. And this would be 90 degrees, or we could put the little square. Any questions? These images were very similar. That's why I wanted to practice with those first. Any volunteer for the next one with the 55 degrees? Charlie, let's start up top above the 55. Might as well change colors again. How big is... Well, I don't know. I guess tell me whatever you want. So where the X is? That is... What'd you say? 35. How'd you know that? Yeah, so guys, what Charlie's saying, make sure that you see this, is not only do we have a straight line here that I highlighted in yellow, But separate from that straight line, there's a 90 that uses this line and this line. So now what I'll call orange and blue. And this angle up on top uses orange and blue. This angle AGB right on top. So that's also 90. So then Charlie said, well, I know that if that one's 90, these two angles have to be 90. So 55 and 35 make 90. Good work, man. Which means this angle right here would also be what measure? 55. This we already said is 90. And this angle in here, also 35 because the vertical. Guys, this all really just comes from practice. Like, if you're, like, struggling and you're like, man, Charlie's really good at this, like, it's just practice. You want to get to that level of being really good, we just practice. Michael Jordan was not just born good at basketball. He was actually cut from his high school basketball team. I think most people know that, but if you didn't know that, yeah, Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Well, he wasn't good. Like, MJ needed to get better. I bet they're, like, still friends. You know what I mean? Like, hey, coach. Well, not coach, right? Because you cut me. Look at what I did. So, guys, right down here looks at only what Charlie just said, right? About, like, if I have a straight line, except instead of a 90-degree angle here, we have this unknown in between. So we're kind of using what we did up top to say, if this is a straight line, I know this is how much together. 180. So, guys, this is a supplementary triple. This means three angles together will make our 180. Which means X is how big? 60. Same thing again, moving over here, we see another supplementary triple. Straight line we know makes 180 degrees on both sides. Well, what's 105 plus 25? 130. So that leaves us with how much here? 50 degrees. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm going to do it over here, and then we can bump over, like back to, because this one's more complicated. So, when I see a straight line, ignore this chunk of line. I don't need that right now. I know that a straight line measures 180 degrees if I pivot around. So it's like if I sit here and spin myself to point at the wall, like that's 180 degrees. Right? I can't because my knees. This is the smallest desk space I've had in a while. I'm a little claustrophobic back here. But so what that also means, I'm going to draw it real big out here, is this entire arc is 180 degrees because it comes from the straight line back to the straight line. Right? It doesn't really matter where our like center is. We could pivot from wherever. If I turn around, I get 180. So now I look at 80, 60, and X, and I'm going to call on you here in just a second, Drew. So 80, 60, and X I know make 180, and then we do the math from there. Drew, what's up? Yeah, go ahead. Different methods are always good. Ah, so you're doing the entire circle of 360. I love it. That's another cool technique. So when I'm suggesting work with the half circle, Drew is saying the whole circle all the way around is 360 degrees. Absolutely. Another way that we can do that. A lot of, like here, I don't necessarily have to work with the whole circle, but what Drew is saying, if I bump back over here, is this has to be 180. This is 25. This is 105. So especially in my calculator, put all of those numbers in, subtract it from 360. We can always, there's always multiple methods. I love when you guys share your other methods of doing stuff. So over here, though, sorry, real quick to put down the answer. If this is 140, sorry, you can't totally see that right now. If that's 140, how big is my x? Well, whatever gets me to 180, which is 40 degrees. Yes, but there are multiple ways to solve. We can either solve by adding, or kind of solve by subtracting, or solve by doing both, or there's multiple ways. So what I want you to do now with the 10 minutes we have left is pull out your computer and do as much con as you can, because I know a lot of us are behind. Yeah, in the hallway. If it is your second, if it's not your first attempt, 75% is fine. If it's your first attempt and you get a 75, please retry it. We don't want to be happy with 75. We want to give it another shot. Are you finished with the April 5th stuff? I was going to assign the April 5th stuff to be due this Friday and or due on Monday. But we got this email about be kind to kids and don't overload them. And I was like, fine, I'll be nice. I mean, for real, if what we're assigning you is too much, communicate with us. We will always change due dates. I just have a goal of trying to fit in as much as I can before the end of the year. Because, guys, it's going to be summer before we know it. We're going to blink and it'll be summer. Realize this. The next Monday that we're in school is April 5th. April, right? It's April. In my head, it's already April. Well, yeah, I know, spring break, but I got to help a buddy build a shed and stuff. My friend bought a house, and he always used to make fun of how my garage is always full of my projects, whatever I'm building at the current time. And now his garage is full of his project, and he has nowhere for a lawnmower. Who what? There's new work up there assigned due April 5th, but you should really just try to get it done as soon as you can.